So to me, look, to me, it's all about how do we pilot the human body? How do we drive the vehicle which our consciousness inhabits? Okay, how do we interact with the control? So to me, it's an ongoing development of the control and the to me is a development of the ongoing control and expression of the human body. So it's for health. So we primarily for health. Okay, so our objective is to gain better health and to live longer. It's the number one objective written in the classic. This is about health. Okay, but we use a marshal. Okay, we use the trend. The trend is the marshal. We use it as a guideline for optimal health. Okay, so something happens in the brain when we are focused on survival or combat things. We build new synapses within the brain. Okay, when we do martial things, it's a physical phenomenon. Okay, so we build new synapses. We actually increase connections between the brain cells. Okay, when we do martial stuff. I don't know.
Maybe this is a good point where I would like to stop for a while, and the question I have is, like, I know that lots of people would like to do something from Chinese, I don't know, QiGong culture, yeah, QiGong or TaiJi or something like that, but they are not so maybe pulled by martial arts. And this is maybe question, martial, like TaiJiQuan is martial art. Yeah, martial art aspect, yeah. And this is maybe the question, like, why, for example, me, as someone, let's pretend, as someone who is not, who would like to do something, why should, or how can I find a relationship towards martial art? And what can I find the beneficial? Wiesz, co myslím?
For example, I don't want to be a violent person, yeah. And makes me this martial aspect when I practice TaiJi more violent, and how does it affect me, or and what is the point for me when I don't want to be a violent to do it in the?
Yes, something maybe like, what is the motivation for someone who have never think about the martial art to come to our course for martial art QiGong, TaiJiQuan.
So our objective is to stop fighting, is to make friends through martial art, to explore the mechanics of our body. What does this do? What does that do? If I move this, how does this move? Yeah. So it's really about exploration. And then, you know, so in the first instance, we learn, one person learn. So there's an objective to the movement, okay? It's not just a piece of choreography. The piece of choreography has no objective. What's the outcome to this movement, okay? How does this work? Understand? How do we interact with two people to achieve a specific outcome? So we are hardwired for survival and protection of ourselves and of our children, right? Survival and protection. That includes staying in optimum health and fighting off any attacks from animals or people, or surviving injuries, falling off cliffs or something. Yeah, so it's about developing the body to be resistant to injury and to survive any eventuality. This is why new synapses are created whenever we train some martial aspect. When we're training some martial aspect, we are not training to be aggressive. We're training in order to neutralize aggression as quickly as possible. So this is the objective. And in the final analysis, if it comes down to it, we want to be able to do something, right? Not just to stand there, okay? We want to be able to do something. So we don't go, so this is it. So we train with two people in order to understand are you with me? In order to understand, someone made a Facebook comment about something boring yesterday. In order to understand how we interact with each other's bodies. So we start with our own body, and how does our own body move? And how does it function? And how can we get something to one part of the body to do something by utilizing another part of the body? Then we start to move this understanding out, and this learning out into another person's body. So we interact with another biomechanical organism in order to understand how they affect each other. Okay, so this is the progression of TaiJiQuan. So every time we improve our movement, we improve the harmony of enzymes and hormones within the body. Every time we stimulate the 31 pairs of spinal nerves in specific ways, we improve our health and our ability to move, the speed at which we move, the velocity at which we move, in order to better instinctively protect ourselves and our loved ones. But primarily, it's about health. How can we be healthier? How can we live longer? How can we achieve greater understanding of ourselves and our environment and where we live, and of nature and the patterns of nature? Okay? How can we express the ultimate cyclical rhythms of nature through our body without the interruption of the conscious mind? Okay, which is, it's a blend between the two. Okay, so we have some nature, and then we organize it, we build stuff for ourselves to live in the real world. Yeah, so we have nature, we have a park, and then we have a building. So it's how do these two things integrate with each other? So you could say the conscious mind is like the building. We create the building. Think of a Chinese garden. We create the pavilion or the bridge. Okay, and we set it within the rhythm of nature. So we can plant flowers that have specific fragrances, or create walls that have specific holes and views, or entrance ways, and set up specific views. So the garden is a journey around really the integration of heaven, which is subconscious, or nature, with earth, okay, which is the worldly things, right? The consciousness of the human to build something, to place something in a specific way, a piece of architecture next to a tree, or next to a pond, or next to a waterfall, or in a specific way. So in this same way, we have the conscious and the subconscious, and the balance of these two, okay, the balance of these two, of nature and manufactured, together create human. This is a human thing. How do we blend these two things to create harmony between the created world and the natural world?
So it's basically to make people like better people. Well,
ultimately, yes, but the first thing is to resolve health issues. As we progress through the training, our health improves and improves and improves, and our internal processes improve. Okay, but then obviously as we study and we start to think about things, our perception of what we're experiencing in life improves and develops. Okay? And maybe we can review things that have happened in our life, and then we realize with a more critical mindset that perhaps we could have done things in a different way. And then we can experiment with doing, with behaving in a different way and observing, is there a different outcome? And then we can draw a balance between these two things and find our harmony between yin and yang.
Tell us more about yin and yang.
Oh, very nice question.
Well, it really relates, everything is yin and yang, there's something and nothing. So this also relates to conscious and subconscious. So yin, let me finish this point because, all right, so yang means creation of something. We create something. Yin is diminishing. So it's a balance between something and nothing. You could say rising and sinking, of left and right, of backwards and forwards. One is a yin, which is returning. One is a yang. Okay, so this is an understanding that everything is on. Everything moves along an axis. Okay, from one extreme to another extreme. So in chapter 2 of the TaiJi, it talks about ugliness and of beauty. In order to understand what is beautiful, first we must understand what is ugly, and we have some comparison. This is about comparison. Yin and yang is about comparing things. TaiJiQuan is about extremes. So yin and yang manifesting in TaiJiQuan is about comparing the extremes of a thing. So we talk about you cannot understand what the concept of long is, okay, unless you have something to compare with. So what do we compare long with? We compare long with short. And then we can say, oh, this is long and this is short. And this is beautiful and this is ugly. Okay? This is wide and this is narrow. So without this understanding, we can have no idea where we are on the continuum. Okay? We cannot understand what is good unless we have something to compare with. So in this modern time, we compare good with evil. Okay? It's a division. So our objective to unite, to find the middle way, to find harmony between the two. Harmony doesn't mean we do both, it means we understand and we can walk the path between.
And it makes sense actually that to go to the extremes so you can find the center.
Otherwise you have no understanding of what it means. Yes, high means nothing without low. Shallow, what does shallow mean? Unless you understand what is deep.
And they go together, right?
Of course. It's a continuum.
And you say, when I say up, it includes down.
Of course.
Because they cannot exist.
But up can't exist in a vacuum. It has to have something to compare. So when we talk about yin and yang, we're talking about the comparison of the extremes of a continuum.
Okay, I have 2 questions. You have some?
I don't have any questions.
So last 2 questions. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, first one is like, if there is any spiritual aspect of TaiJiQuan QiGong?
Would you be able to define spiritual?
First I had in my mind like something like religious, but it's not like that. So then I have like something which is something like in some practices you can not just practices, but you can connect to the source, kind of light, energy, love, whatever. And if there is presach, if there is something like that, that by this practice you come to another state of mind, consciousness. Because first thing is physical layer, like doing the things healthy and like this type of things. I know that it's there, but
yes, but it's difficult because I would say absolutely 100%, but I will say that to
people.
Yes,
you know. Okay.
I don't know. Look,
I'm just curious.
I would say, in my personal experience, absolutely yes, 100%. And look, if you want to learn about what does that mean, then you read one of the hundreds of many different translations of TaiJi or of the I Ching. Okay, so these are supposed to be expressions. This literature is supposed to be expressions of the universe, of the way everything works. Where did it come from? Who knows? So some legend says a turtle came up and it had it written on its back. Maybe, who knows? Right? Maybe some really smart people did it. Maybe it come from completely somewhere else. Who knows? Who knows where does it come from? It's a long, long time ago. But people have studied it for a very, very long time. Yeah? We have endless combination and variation. So in TaiJi, let's say, is there a spiritual development? I think it is very strong to me. It's very strong to me. It takes a long time to develop because you're working a millimeter by a millimeter by a millimeter. So in one day you might work on something and you feel like you didn't do anything or go anywhere because you only moved 1 millimeter, right? But in a month you moved 3 centimeters, right? And in a year you move more than 36 centimeters. In 5 years, you're kind of encroaching on 2 meters. So you come a long way in 5 years, but in a day, you don't even notice the difference, right? So it's working on one thing at a time. Is related to in TaiJi like polishing a jewel. Okay, we all have it. We all have it. This connection, call it spiritual if you like, but there is a connection to something more. Some people call it God, some people call it Jehovah, some people call it the Tao, some people call it Muhammad, whatever. Okay, many different interpretations of what does this mean. Is it a personality? What is it? I don't know. But to me, it's something more than we are. Okay, so when I train, I get this connection to something more. That there's more to everything. Okay, that I am working on myself, developing myself. I find a physical thing. Right? I find a connection through breathing between this and this, between the outside universe and the inside universe. Okay? A little piece of me becomes part of the universe. And a little piece of the universe becomes part of me. Let me say it the other way around. A little piece of the universe enters inside me. And then a little piece of me goes out and becomes part of the universe. And there's something very magical about that exchange. Okay? something very connected about that exchange. So to me, is it spiritual? I find it very difficult. I have a great difficulty with that word.
Connection is very, very nice. I think what you've used, it's very good.
So as I understand, there was some school of thought in ancient China. They regarded the heart as the seat of the will. Okay, so they referred to this as the emperor. They referred to the emperor being the willpower. Okay, and he has the mandate of heaven. Okay, so the emperor has the mandate of heaven. That means the emperor gets the inspiration. Okay, and he says, right, I want this to happen. Okay, and he sends orders to the general. The general was the brain. Okay, the conscious mind. Okay, the conscious mind figures out the plans, gathers the resources. Then he directs the army. Okay, and he directs the army to build or to create whatever the emperor wanted to manifest into reality, from nothing into something, a transition. Okay, so call that spiritual if you want. In TaiJiQuan, it goes from here to here and then to here. But with regular practice, you don't need this bit. Right? It's become instinct. It's become natural. You have the balance between the subconscious, the conscious, between the nothing and the something. Okay? You have the balance, the combination of the two. We combine the two, it becomes just like driving. We all do it every single day. It's automatic movement, autopilot of the body. In TaiJiQuan, we try to create autopilot for healthy objectives. So we move our body in a healthier way. So we relax the muscles. We open up the blood vessels, open up the meridians of the body, create balance between the more than 59 hormones within the body. Okay, we create a synergistic relationship between ourselves and the enzymes. The relationship between our own DNA and the millions and the DNA of the millions of microbes and the millions of bacteria and healthy bacteria that are on us and inside us. And how that symbiotic relationship can affect and improve our health or make us worse. So are we making ourselves better or are we making ourselves worse? And we need to observe the outcomes of our actions. So to me, TaiJiQuan and this Taoist view, this observation of cause and effect in nature, is about us experimenting on ourselves. If I do this, this will happen. Okay? It's the oldest word or the oldest way to describe martial art. You do this, I do this. Right? You do this, I do this. Right? You do this, I do this. Okay? Rock, paper, scissors. You do this, I do this. Okay? Come if you want. But if you do this, I do this. Right? This is a martial art. Right? This is what a martial art. If you come, am I going to say, you do this, I do nothing? Is there no response? You've got to just do whatever you want to me? Or will I have some response? If you're going to have some response, maybe prepare to have some constructive response. Rather than just, right? Do you want to have a constructive response to threats of aggression? Okay? To have a calm mind and be in control of yourself? Okay? It's a serious question. When you practice to do these things, you get smarter. You build more synapses. You figure out better ways to avoid conflict. It's all about avoiding conflict. It's not about going around looking for someone to wallop. Okay? I was like that when I was younger, right? Because I did very external training. So it made me very aggressive. Right? But now it's not like that at all. It's about how can I find the way of least resistance. Like Bruce Lee said, be water, my friend. Right? What does he mean, be water? It means flow around obstacles. Be fluid, be changeable. Be able to transition and find the lowest point. Go the lowest way. The easiest way. Take the easiest way. Why make things difficult? Okay? So Bruce Lee talked about economy of movement. Right? Economy of movement. How can he get the biggest effect with the least amount of effort? So in a way, that Bruce Lee's first martial art was TaiJiQuan. So in a way, that's really what's the essence of TaiJiQuan. He was also a PhD in philosophy. He's a smart guy. You know, a lot of the things that I see in Jeet Kune Do, these principles are manifested in ancient texts, in ancient classical writing, specifically about TaiJiQuan and the philosophy of the ancient Taoists and the Confucian and the Buddhists. Yeah, but I see a lot of Taoism in it. Okay, and when I say Taoism, I don't mean religious Taoism. I mean the original Taoism before it was in competition with Buddhism as a religion. I mean the Taoism that is called the observation and expression of cause and effect in nature. Okay, how can we learn from that in our own lives and be able to follow the wonderful rhythms and beauty of nature?
Okay.
You can jump in.
Yeah.
Last question.
Last question.
I'm very curious. What is the last question?
Okay, my last question is like I start from my point of view, like how I've experienced your lessons, and I told you already, and for me it's something completely different, something I'm really appreciating, how you teach QiGong, and I'm sure you will teach TaiJiQuan very similar way. I think that it's your approach. Maybe I'm wrong, but you will tell us. And
show us.
show us. And I think the amazing thing is that you give responsibility to your students. And this is maybe something I would like to hear more, like what is your approach? Maybe your image with the garden is really beautiful and I like it. And yeah, so this, like what your approach to teaching and you know, this responsibility things.
Well, I can only show what I've experienced. Okay, I can only teach what I understand to be the case. Okay, from what my understanding is today. And tomorrow, maybe I'll learn something new, and I'll say, that stuff that I did is not right. Okay, like I did with, you know, I was trained as a sports therapist, right? And many kind of massage and sports therapy. Okay, and a lot of people came because I could do really deep tissue stuff, and I did everything by the book. But one day, I had a client who came, and everything I did, he got worse, not better. His range of motion got worse. So I did, and you know, at that time I saw these all as different things. TaiJiQuan was one thing, QiGong was another thing, kettlebell another thing, cardiovascular training another thing, massage another thing, sports therapy another thing. Everything was a different discipline, nutrition a different thing. But in reality, now a mentor of mine, he said to me, you have to, he said, just tell me what you do. And I told him all his list of things. He said, no, tell me the one thing you do. And I said, but I do this. He said, no, you do one thing. You only do one thing. What is it? And so it took me a whole week, right? I'm just really, literally, I took a week off. It took me a whole week to try to boil down to the very, very foundation of everything that I do, or I did at that time. And what I discovered was, at the bottom of it all, was up and down, left and right, backward and forward. It's TaiJi. Right? What's TaiJi? TaiJi, yeah, is this the description of how do we manifest 3 dimensions. Okay, so these principles underlie everything. So, ask me a question.
Your teachings and your approach to students, like
Oh,
you don't
okay.
say them.
So I try to. So, from that understanding of TaiJi, that I believe is at the root of everything and the foundation of everything, is like a seed. So I like to plant the seeds of what the things that I have enjoyed, the things that I have found to be useful on my personal journey. Okay, and I learned so much from Professor Liu. So really so much. He really showed me the way to think about these things. Okay, and also the training really was very excellent. But I've trained with other teachers, but I never found any other teacher able to connect with me in the same way. I try to allow my students to feel and understand what it is that I'm talking about by giving them examples and by showing them how to express that in their body. Once they've understood, so it's like giving someone, hey, come in my garden, and they walk through, yeah, very pretty. Yeah, but you didn't look at anything. Right? You just walk the path and walk out again. Right? You just walk down the path. Yeah, very good. Yeah, nice path, yeah. Well, hang on, stop, come back. Look, smell this flower. It's a peony. Right? Look how it's connected to the ground. Look where it grows. Look what grows around it. Look how many petals it has. Okay, experience the peony. Just walk past it. Now, how can you manifest this in your own garden? I can give you the seeds, but you have to plant it. You have to cultivate it. You have to water it. Then you can have the garden the same, even better than mine. Right? You can be better than my garden easily. Right? Oh, what about this? You walk over the bridge. Yes, but how do you build the bridge? How do you put the thing there? And is it in the right place? Does it have the right background? Does it have the right meaning? Okay, and these things gradually we understand with time. So I can only give the seeds and the clues. As Confucius said, right? Confucius is very much about knowledge. Right? It's, here's this knowledge. I write down this. But Confucius said, knowledge is not enough. The practice is the most important thing. Through practicing yourself, you gain not only a deep understanding, but a deep connection with the meaning of the thing itself. Okay, and when that happens, then you get your spiritual connection. The understanding there's something more. Because you've achieved a certain level of competence. Yeah? Like you might be driving in your car. Hey, maybe you're driving in your car and you drop something. And you go, I shouldn't really, but I'm going to pick it. And you pick it up, right? And you come up. And all of a sudden you'd create a reaction to something that was impossible. How could I move? How could I go around this thing? And yet it happens. This is subconscious reflexes. Okay, you don't even have to focus to see it. It comes. Bah, 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 bah. Something happens. Something happens to trigger subconscious response. When you're driving, it happens to every single one of us who drive every single day. Right? Something. Okay? We stop because, oh, someone's walking out. We don't have to see the person. We know, we feel something more happen. Right? When we're cooking, right, do this. Oh, I need this. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I need a bit of that. Oh, it needs this. Right? Where does this come from? I don't have to look it up in a book. As long as I practice. You practice, you have a competence. This comes from somewhere. Okay? We can blend all of these things. So in TaiJiQuan, it's about 13 essences. 13 essences are the ingredients for the dish. How we blend those ingredients depends on how the dish turns out, right? So this is about TaiJiQuan, I believe, TaiJiQuan, about one move. TaiJiQuan is only one move, a single move, manifested in unlimited ways. Multiple combinations of the same thing, which is a combination of 13 essences. Oh, a little bit more of that, a little bit less of that. Oh, more of that one, more of this one, less of that one. Boom, boom, boom. Unique outcome. It's a unique outcome. It's called a martial art. Okay? This means there is expression of self that comes through. Okay? It's not called a what would we call it? Yeah, you want to call it? Okay, all right.
Yeah, let's stop here. I would say. May I?
Yeah.